Thomas J says, I find most statists have diarrhea of the mouth and constipation of the brain. Is there one question or comment you can use reliably to get them to stop, shut up, and think? I would say the word no would answer that question.
I think I can take that one and say, yes, there is something. They have to be willing to engage you for a very small amount of time in a logical progression where they answer honestly. And I've done this with a person who considered himself a progressive leftist. And it was at least of a mindset to have a conversation instead of a screaming match or an emotional outburst. And I don't recall the gentleman's name right now, but we were in an Irish bar in Center City, Philadelphia, and I said, "Could I just ask you a few questions and just do a little progression of thought here and just answer honestly? Will you just answer honestly what you think?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay. So would you agree that it is wrong to initiate violence against other people or coerce other people, to initiate aggression and coercion and say you must do what I say you must do?" And he said, "No, it's wrong. It's not a right." Okay. And I said, "Well, essentially, do you believe that laws are backed by the threat of force? Because if they aren't, then how could they be considered a man-made law? How could they be considered a law if you don't do it and it's not backed by a threat of punishment? If you don't comply, then it's not a law at all, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "So, then do you believe that anybody has, at an individual level, the right to coerce other people under the threat of, I will initiate violence to you if you don't do this?" And he said, "No, no one has." I said, "No one anywhere?" "No, no one anywhere has that ability." I said, "So can a group of people who individually do not possess that right come together and then delegate that right to any other individual or group of individuals legitimately, morally legitimately? Can they do that? In other words, if I don't have that right and you don't have that right, can we come together and say the third person has that right? Or another group has that right, or that we are going to say we are allowing them to have that right, even though none of us individually possess it?" And he said, "No, I don't think that anybody can do that." And I said, "Congratulations, you're an anarchist." And I highly recommend watching this guy, Jan Helgred or something to that effect. I can't remember his last name. If you just look up Jan talks to politicians and exposes
It's not
what
Jan Irvin.
No, it's not Jan Irvin. It's Jan Hell something, Hellweg or Hellwig. Let me just look it up. I could probably find it quickly. But anyway, I'll tell you what he does. He talks to politicians and he goes through this progression with them. It's called a logical progression. It's the Socratic method. Okay, Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher, would use this method where he would ask questions and let the other individual say what he really felt, and then they would be able to think, "Hey, I just said this," and if they contradicted themselves, then they would have to offer some way of justification or for their contradiction, or admit that, "No, I'm not correct about what I previously felt." The Socratic method is what I would recommend using, and don't give your persuasion and say, "Oh, I'm an anarchist and I'm trying to convince you to take this position." Just ask them what they think and tell them, just answer honestly. That's it. But they have to be willing to sit down for about 4 or 5 minutes with you to go through that logical progression. Let me see if I could find this gentleman's name, because I think his videos
It's Jan Helfeld.
That's it. Hellfeld. I just couldn't recall the name.
Thank you to Rika, the hopeful voluntarist, one of my moderators, who got that up there.
Yeah. Check him out. He's awesome. And he shows the hypocrisy of these imbecile politicians who are basically Satanists and cult members, that will not answer because they know they cannot win in a logical progression. They cannot win in a logical argument. They have to twist their answer or not answer the question. They will not give a direct or honest answer, okay? Because they know that they're full of shit. That's why. So you watch this guy's videos. He's been doing this for years and years, And he shows that these politicians will not answer because they're full of shit, and that their own statements that they would make totally contradict things that they have said, because they know that they cannot win in a logical progression discussion. And that's how you arrive at truth. You go through a logical progression of, if this is true, then this must be true. If this isn't true, okay, we're going to look at another option. But they won't do it. They will not do it. They will give you all kinds of other answers and try to segue the conversation into another direction. But they will not answer the question honestly, because they're coward shit is what they are. And I'd say it right to their face. I would never have the patience of this guy. He's got the patience of a saint, repeating the question over and over again. I would be like, you're a cowardly piece of shit, you know, because you won't answer the question honestly and let people hear what you really think. Because what you really think is you're God, you could command people, and that man is God, and we can say it's this way just because we say it's this way. That's what they won't say, but that's really what they think.
Yeah.
They think you're their slave and they're God. That's all it really comes down to, if you really look at what they're saying.
That's
Okay,
right.
so check out Jan Helfeld's work, because it's excellent.
And if you want any more political awareness, look at passioforpresident.com. Avalon Mist asks...
not in this universe.
No, it'd be fun just marking the debate, calling people trash. Anyway, Avalon Mist...
There is no such thing as any ability to dictate.
Yeah.
Good night forever.